One of the darkest, most frightening, brutal authoritarian acts that this regime.
So that video is about the ICE raids that happened in Chicago in the wee hours of September 30th, when ICE and FBI agents brought in helicopters and dropped onto the roof of an apartment building, swarmed that building, more than 300 agents, claiming that they had arrest warrants for 5 people. And they raided an apartment building, dragged out American citizens, handcuffed them, put them into the back of budget rental vans, kept them there for hours, violated their constitutional rights. They dragged out naked children, zip-tied them, and separated them from their parents. 4 of those children are American citizens who were taken from their parents and put in DHS custody, a violation of their constitutional rights. We don't actually know where those kids are at this moment in time. DHS claimed they were trying to find guardians for them, I'm assuming because they snatched their parents. Right, so I was saying in that video, like, we can't allow this to be normalized. We cannot tolerate it. Because one of the things that the regime tries to do, this classic authoritarian move, is that Trump tries to claim power that he doesn't have. He tries to crush constitutional rights that he is not allowed to trample on. He tries to do things that are illegal and say that he has every right to do them. This is what authoritarians do. This is why they call it authoritarian creep, because Trump sees something in front of him that he wants to do. He knows it's illegal. He does it anyway, and then he waits to see how you react. He waits to see if other politicians push back. He waits to see if anybody files anything in the courts. He waits to see what the public does. He waits to see if there is mass public opposition to those actions. If he does something terrible and awful and illegal, and we all are like, oh, that's no good, but we don't do anything about it, he'll be like, cool, this is now power that I have. This is now something I know that I can do whenever I want, and nobody's going to try and stop me. Raids like the one in Chicago are going to be the first of many unless we stand up and protect our constitutional rights, unless there's massive public outcry. He is trying terrible shit. He's seeing how you react. If you don't react strongly enough, he now is like, cool, I can do this whenever I want, and they won't try and stop me. That is how they try and move the needle on what is normal. That is how they try and push their authoritarian agenda. That's how they try and get you to forget what your rights are, to abandon your rights. Think back to a year ago. If Joe Biden had done something like that, how would you have reacted? But Trump has been creeping all along and seeing whether or not the people push back. And he tries bigger and more severe things. He tries to trample more and more of your rights. He tries to inflict more and more authoritarian practices. And he's waiting to see how you react. But when I made that video and I posted it over to YouTube, where it's gotten a lot of engagement, I had several comments that I thought were interesting. I know there's a lot of conversation about dead internet theory right now, especially if you're over on Facebook. Oh boy, it's all of these posts from MAGA, very pro MAGA accounts, or very pro BB accounts. And the responses, when you go and look at all the people who are talking up or saying something positive in the comments of those posts, it's all bot accounts, right? That's dead internet theory. It's bot accounts, and then bots are liking. It's bots feeding bots, and they're not actually engaging with real people. But there are enough people on Facebook, especially kind of, like boomers, older folks on Facebook, MAGA folks, older Gen X, who still use that platform, and they don't know how to distinguish very well between bots and real people who are posting. So it's not fully dead internet theory. Bots do actually have an influence, especially with like middle-aged and older white men and older white women who use Facebook quite a bit. But over on YouTube, when I covered these Chicago raids, I had several comments that were like, this didn't really happen. This is fake. There's no video from inside the apartments. There's no videos of the raids. I haven't seen video of naked zip-tied children, so this is fake and it never happened. Also worth noting that Fox, as far as I can tell, especially on a national level, has not covered this story at all. Fox News on a national level, not touching this story with a 10-foot pole. They do not want their audience to know about it at all. But a lot of other corporate legacy media hasn't really covered it either. It wasn't until late this afternoon that I saw CNN finally started talking about it. So when I got all of these comments that were like, oh, this never happened. Where's the video proof? Where's the video of naked zip-tied kids? This is just a bunch of lies. This is a made-up story. Despite the fact that we have tons of footage of all of the ICE agents, we have Homeland Security themselves saying they conducted this operation, as a targeted raid. Even though they destroyed people's homes, they took American citizens, abducted them, handcuffed them, stuffed them into the back of vans, denied them access to lawyers. They had no probable cause, no warrants, but they held American citizens and said, we'll keep you here as long as it takes to confirm your identity. They had no probable cause at all. If they actually had warrants for 5 people, again, that was their claim. Nobody has seen those warrants. They had no business emptying an entire apartment complex. And they never had any business dragging little children out into the night, handcuffed, zip-tied. Like the amount of trauma that we are watching ICE cause with brown kids in this country. I mean, really all kids, every American child who is aware of what's happening and is exposed to any of it is being traumatized. But every child who has immigrant parents in this country, all of these kids that we are stuffing into detention centers so that for-profit corporations like Geo Group and CoreCivic can get billions of dollars of our taxpayer money with their government contracts. The amount of trauma that we're inflicting is just fucking unreal. Anyway, back to these bot comments. Thanks for letting me ramble a little bit. I was surprised to see how quickly the bots swooped in on this specific story and how very similar all of their comments were about this was a fake story. It never happened. There's no video proof. All of the accounts, when I went and looked at them, had all been made. They're anonymous YouTube accounts with no profile picture. They're all less than a year old, right? When you're a creator, you can get pretty good at spotting bots pretty quickly. And to me, I was like, it's surprising how quickly they swooped in, how quickly the bots found this video, and how many comments there are, right? And to me, that says the regime knows how deeply unpopular these kinds of moves are, how this is dramatically going to turn people against the regime. This is something that will wake people up and activate them. They don't want you to know about it. They don't want you to hear this story, and they're desperate to try and discredit it. They want anybody who's on the cusp, right? Anybody who's questioning the regime to see those comments of like, this is fake news. This is a fake story. There's no video proof. They want people to believe the bot comments because they don't want them to believe the truth of what happened, because they know that when we bear witness to what ICE is doing, when we talk about what ICE is doing, that it changes hearts and minds. People overwhelmingly in this country don't want ICE to be terrorizing our immigrants. Overwhelmingly, more than 70% of Americans, I think it's actually almost close to 80%, somewhere between 70 and 80, I don't have the figure right in front of me because it's late, believe that we need a legal pathway to citizenship for undocumented Americans. A majority of Americans are strongly opposed to the ICE raids, and they want undocumented Americans to continue to live here and to be able to do so legally. And when you see not only the extreme brutality and cruelty that was engaged in by ICE during this raid, there was an ICE agent who said, F them kids. When someone questioned, why do you have little children in their underwear, zip-tied, children, I can't get over it. The ICE agent said, F them kids. American citizens were taken from their homes in the middle of the night, handcuffed and stuffed into vans for hours and hours and hours. It's not only the cruelty of what they're doing to immigrants, to children, it's also the violation of the constitutional rights of American citizens. They don't want you to see that that's happening. They don't want you to know. They want you to be able to say that can't possibly be happening here and go about your merry way. I had some asshat in my comments who was like, I'm not worried it won't happen to me because I'm white, because this apartment complex, right, was primarily Black and Latino, almost exclusively. You dumbass, read the First They Came For poem. There is nobody who is safe under authoritarianism. There is no amount of safety you can procure for yourself. If you think that what happened to those folks in Chicago can't happen to you because you're white, you're fucking delusional. Anyway, how hard the bots are working in the comments of that video says to me that this is a story that we've got to amplify. This is a story that we have to make sure the American people hear, and we've got to make sure that they understand the severity. We have to make sure that they understand that these kinds of actions cannot go unanswered. These kinds of actions require a swift response, not only from local and state government, but from us, the people, because ultimately it is us that have the power. It is us who will stop this. It is us that everybody answers to. If we come together and organize and we stand up as one, we have the power. We have the power to stop this madness. That is why they are so desperate for you to not do anything. They're so desperate for you to be scared to respond and to just let them continue this kind of shit.